whatever you want to program in there, you get to program in there. If you sat down and say, how am I going to be with my wife, my husband, my partner? How am I going to be with my kids? How am I going to be at work with my coworkers? How am I going to be in traffic? And you close your eyes and you begin to rehearse in your mind. If you're truly present, the brain does not know the difference between the real life experience and what you're imagining. So now the brain goes from a record of the past to a map to the future. Now you're installing the hardware. Keep practicing it. It becomes automatic, it becomes easier. Now it's a software program. You may just start behaving differently. And then if you said, well, listen, I'm not going to wait for my healing to feel gratitude. I'm not going to wait for my new relationship to feel love. I'm going to actually teach my body emotionally what that future feels like before it happens. Now, this is a big turnaround for a lot of people because we're so reliant on the outer world to change our inner world. Waiting is not creating. Period. They could have the greatest intentions in the world, but if they don't combine that with an elevated emotion, there's no signal, because the elevated emotion is the carrier, it's the energy that carries the thought. So then, when we're in separation, in lack, waiting for our wealth to feel abundance, we're basically living our whole life in pain, right? So then if you reason this, and a person can get up from their meditation and they literally feel differently, and they're feeling the emotions of their future before it happens, this is turning the whole process around. They can't be looking for it. Why would they be looking for it if they felt like it already happened? Now there's no separation. Now this is when those serendipities and coincidences and opportunities begin to show up in people's lives. So it's work, but then when they start seeing the experience in their life, all of a sudden they start believing they're more of the creator of their life and less of the victim of their life. I say to people when they come to our workshops, oh, I'm going to take you way further than where you normally stop, because you're only going to have two choices. You're either going to let your energy drop and suffer and get into time and my body and when's this going to end and I'm hungry, and those are all primal drives, or you're going to apply a formula, and in the unknown, you learn how to be comfortable in the unknown. This is so funny because you stretch a person outside of the known and it's not scary. Nothing happened to them. And all of a sudden, they relax more into the present moment. They're not thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow. They're not going to think about what happened yesterday. Now we watch 1,500 people just by the end of an event, just totally present. It's completely different people. And where you place your attention is where you place your energy. There's energy for them to heal. They have energy. They can execute. So it's something that it's hard to, you can only talk around. You can't tell me any longer that you're too sick to do this work. I have seen in the last couple of years, blind people seeing, deaf people hearing, people with strokes that were paralyzed, moving their limbs, people with Parkinson's disease that had tremors or paralysis moving, MS, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, rare genetic disorders, tumors. There it is, then it's gone. You can't tell me you're too sick to do this work. Of course, people come up against themselves. And when they come up against themselves, those sick people came up against their fear, like, you're going to die in 3 months. And they had every reason to not do the work, but they showed up in spite of their fear, and they overcame their fear a little bit more. There were people that had self-doubt, and their condition was getting worse, and their family was worried about them. They could have doubted and said, I give up, but they showed up for themselves again, and they overcame their doubt a little bit more. There were days that they were really feeling sick, and their body was really failing, and they could have said, I'm too sick to do this meditation. They did it sometimes 2 or 3 times a day because nothing else was working. And they overcame their body. They could have said, I don't have enough time. I got kids, I got obligations, I got a job. They made the time to do it, and that was the overcoming process. You can't tell me that you're too out of shape. You're too old. We have elders in this work. I can show you brain scans that are so elegant and so beautiful, and the arousal that they're having is ecstasy. It's coherence in the brain. So you can't even tell me that you never meditated before, because husbands who get dragged to our events by wives who are sitting there going, who is this guy? They're listening to the science and it makes sense, and comes down to the practical. They follow the exact formula. Someone who's been meditating for 40 years, if we said, I want to be wealthy or I want to be healthy, well, you want to be that because you're not it. So the initiation of going from not it here to it here, you're going to have to climb some steps, and there's going to be some blind spots. So you try it out and it doesn't work. Well, that's because there's a part of you that's still in a habit. There's part of you that's still unconscious. Okay, so what is it about myself in that circumstance that I am feeling about that circumstance, and that feeling is causing me to think about it? So you say, oh, it's impossible, they'll never change. I'll hire a hitman, I'll hire the mafia, I'll hire an attorney, I'll have my friend's friend to talk to him, and nothing changes, right? Well, you're not separate from that experience. You're involved in it, and how you think and how you feel broadcasts energy into the field. So your energy is the same every day, and as long as your energy is the same, nothing's going to change in your life either. And nobody changes until they change their energy. So then, what piece of knowledge, what piece of information, what would love do? What would greatness look like? Okay, I don't know. All right, well, certainly somebody in history has faced this problem. Don't get on Facebook and say, does anybody have any answers? Go look it up and study and read and learn. You'll own it. And you'll say, wow, that person that was wealthy, they failed 500 times. Well, hell, I had the wrong view of wealth. Okay, then failure's not a thing. I got to overcome failure. Well, yeah. Just climb the step. Okay, I'm reacting to that circumstance with the same emotion. That emotion is firing the same thoughts. I'm broadcasting the same energy into the field. If I were facing that circumstance and situation again with that person, that circumstance, what do I learn from that circumstance? How could I do it differently the next time? Find out a solution and rehearse it. Install the circuitry so when you get in the circumstance, you're not going to respond in an automatic habituation. Now you're at a greater level of consciousness. Now you're looking at possibilities that you weren't looking at before because you were unconscious. Now, that process of trial and error is so important in the spiritual path. How many times do we have to forget before we remember? And then we remember and we forget again. And it takes constantly remembering until we stop forgetting. And when we get to that point, now we're conscious. Now there's wisdom. And wisdom is the memory of the experience without the emotional charge. Now you're ready for the new adventure. So then people draw conclusions and say, oh, it's that person that ripped me off. Now you don't create your reality. You only create your reality when things are good. Well, somehow you got to tango through this. Somehow your objectivity in not reacting emotionally is going to change the energy of how you address this situation. So then we keep going, and introspection, at the end of the day, if you really wanted to be wealthy, say, how did I do today? Did I make the right choices? Was I ethical? Was I purpose-driven? Am I interested in making a difference? Was I fair? Was I tempered? Did I really think before I spoke? What did I remember reading about that book, about that person that did it? How'd I do? When did I fall from grace? When did I lose it? Okay, I want that opportunity again. I want another shot at that. And I'm going in this way. What would love do in this situation? What would greatness do? And now you evolve your experience, and somehow there's a door. There's an opening, something shifts, something changes. And now, here we go, we climb another ladder, and then all of a sudden, there's another challenge. And then people who finally arrive at their abundance, they could care less if they're abundant. They're already knowing that they've earned the right for it. So sometimes a shortcut in the process, if we really learn and we really get it. But the trial and error is so important because not only is the person earning the right to be wealthy, but they're earning the right to live in worthy to receive. Like, people come to our work all the time for a lot of reasons, and one of the common reasons is they want to get healthy because they're dealing with a very serious health condition. And I always say the same thing to them. Stop wanting to be healthy. Learn the formula on how to get healthy. Learn the formula on how to heal, and the healing will be the side effect of it. If you're obsessing about why am I not healed, you're still the old person. You're going to become that person every day, right? Turns out that when you sit down and the people that we interview that have had significant changes, when it's no longer about their health, but they are out of the bleachers and they're on the playing field, and they are coming up against the belief. Like one lady said, I always thought that this work really worked, that these concepts are the truth, but I never believed it worked for me. And I was in a car accident, I'm in a wheelchair. And then she made the decision that she was going to overcome that belief. Now, it was no longer about her healing. It was about overcoming the belief. And it showed up every day for herself. When you believe in yourself, you believe in possibilities. When you believe in possibilities, you got to believe in yourself. You don't show up for yourself. You don't believe in it. And that's why people don't do the work. I mean, if you believe that your thoughts create a reality, you would show up every day and create. And so a lot of people believe in their past more than they believe in their future. A lot of people fall in love or more in love with their past or romance their past instead of romance their future or love their future. It's that simple. So the initiation process of life is always going to be there. You're always going to be challenged. If you want to be a master, well, then you better learn how to heal someone else. And you're going to fail a lot of times. And if you think that you're a failure, then you'll quit. But if you feel like you just didn't quite ding it yet, and you show up again to just ding it, and you keep evolving your experience and go deeper. How much more can I open my heart? How much more can I surrender into this infinite field? How much more can I become? Can I walk as it with my eyes open? People do meditations, and they have great meditations, me included. And then you get up, you open your eyes, and you're back in the program. And people want to know why they haven't healed. And we have testimonies of people, they're speaking the truth. They said, my MS, my rheumatoid, and my lupus never went away. And I had great meditations. I felt better. And then I realized with my eyes open, I was still that person. And now, next level. They're in the game, they're catching themselves, they're catching how they speak, they're watching how they think. They're not letting their body fall in the same emotional state to put them in the same past experience that the body's believing in. Now, this is the great part. And when a person finally breaks through from the chains,